Hi, Amanda. This is Brian. Just want to go over a couple of questions on the geometry packet. One was question 23. I think we were asked to find the circumference, and they were giving us the area is equal to 64 pi. So we know that the area formula is A equals pi r squared. And when I have formulas like this, since I don't know the area, a lot of times I'll rewrite the formula where I'll write the pi r squared first. So I have pi r squared is equal to the area. And the area was 64 pi. So based on what they gave us, the area of 64 pi, the relationship I have is with the radius. So as you're probably familiar with, you're going to get the r by itself by dividing both sides by pi. That's that property of equality. What you do one side, you can do the other side. And the pi's will actually divide out and turn into a 1. And when you multiply by 1, the 1 just kind of goes away. Because when you multiply by 1, the answer is the thing itself. So r squared is left. Over here on the other side, the pi's divide out and you end up with the 64. Now, like you did with those other questions, what I should have seen is I need to see you take the square root. Because remember, this is squaring. The inverse of squaring is not dividing by 2, but the inverse of squaring is to take the square root. So you take the square root, that just becomes r, and you have the square root of 64. And the square root of 64 turns into 8. Now, to find circumference, you know you had to do the radius twice. So you would do like 8 plus 8 is going to be 16. So the answer is going to be, circumference is going to be 16 times pi. Because remember the formula is pi times d, or d times pi. So, and you can change the 16 or the pi to 3.14, and you could go ahead and multiply that. I'd get the answer, but so I don't have the calculator in front of me, but yeah, you can just leave it at 16 pi, or you can go 16 times 3.14, and that would give you your circumference there. Now, the other example I want to look at is, I think you're asked to find the area when they give you the circumference 6 pi. As we know, the formula for circumference is c equals pi times d. And when I don't know the circumference, I usually like to rewrite the equation the other way around. So I have pi times d is equal to the circumference of 6 pi. And then we can solve for d by dividing both sides by pi. That's that property of equality, what you do to one side and do the other. And since this relationship is multiplication, we know to make multiplication negate out of the problem, to cancel out, if you will, we use the inverse operation, which is division. So that will divide out the pi's there, and that will divide out the pi's there. So the diameter ends up being 6. And so then to find the area, we know that the formula is going to be pi r squared. So we know that if I had a diameter, 6 divided by 2 is going to give me my radius of 3. So I can change this then to pi, and I can replace the r with 3 squared. So the radius is going to be 3, and it's got to be squared. So that's going to end up being 3 squared, which is 9, and then we usually like to put the pi on the end of it, so we usually switch that order. So I can leave the answer as 9 pi, or again, the final answer would be whatever 9 times 3.14 is if you want to change that over to an actual number. On the GD tests, sometimes they will leave answers in terms of pi, so this is not wrong to leave it in this form. Most commonly, we are changing pi to 3.14. So I want to just kind of touch on that question 23 and 25 with you to see if you could maybe pick up on it a little better on those 2 questions. Everything else is perfect. I didn't see any mistakes on anything else, just those 2 questions there. So I'll leave it at that, and Hope you will be working on the other assignments. Take care.